Ask Carlo, Private Equity, Simplified.
22nd April 2024, San Siro. 75,000 people, a derby and the second star on the shirt. Inter Milan beat AC Milan 2-1. The 20s scudetto was sealed. Flares, tears, Coppa Cantoniere. Exactly 1 month later, on the 22nd May 2024, a very different ceremony took place. No stadium, no crowd, no photographer. In a quiet Luxembourg office, a credit default was triggered and the keys to Inter Milan passed to a Los Angeles fund most of those 75,000 fans have never heard of. Its name, Oaktree Capital. Zhang, the son of a Chinese billionaire, walked out. Oaktree walked in. A 116 years old Italian institution changed hands on a loan agreement, not on a match. This is a story of how a football club held on a pledge became the property of a fund, and why in the same year Europe quietly opened the door that had kept ordinary people out of private equity for 40 years. This is Ask Carlo, Private Equity Simplified. I'm Carlo Schneider. Over 10 episodes, we've met Montclair and Formula One, Spotify and Revolut, the Channel Tunnel and Aman Resorts, Jimmy Choo and Birkenstock. We've decoded leverage buyouts, venture capital, growth equity, secondary buyouts, infrastructure, private equity and premiumization. But one question has hung in the air since episode 1, and today we face it directly. Can I actually invest in any of this? Quick disclaimer, everything I share is educational only. This is not investment advice. I'm not recommending Oaktree, I'm not recommending any fund, and I'm certainly not recommending that anyone buy a football club. I am telling you a story and explaining a mechanism. If you're new, subscribe. Every Tuesday, one real deal, one clear lesson. Rewind to May 2021. Suning, the Chinese retail giant that bought Inter from Eric Tohier in 2016, is in trouble. Beijing has cracked down on overseas investments. The Chinese retail sector is bleeding cash, and Zhang, the young president of Inter, is running out of options. He turns to private credit. Why? Because private credit lends exactly where banks refuse. No European bank would underwrite a foreign holding of a football club from a borrower whose parent is imploding. But a fund like Oaktree, founded in Los Angeles by the legendary credit investor Howard Marks, was built for precisely this kind of situation. The deal is struck. Oaktree lends roughly 275 million euros through a Luxembourg holding company called Great Horizon. The interest rate is around 12% per year. The term is 3 years, maturity May 2024. And here is the critical clause. The collateral is not property, it is not cash, it is the shares in Inter Milan itself, a pledge. If Suning cannot repay, the club belongs to Oaktree. Zhang signs in 2021. 3 years feels like a long time. Spring 2024, on the pitch, Inter are imperious. Simone Inzaghi's side are unbeatable. Lautaro Martinez, Nicolo Barella, Marcos Thuram, the football is beautiful. On 22nd April 2024, in the Derby della Madonnina, Inter beat AC Milan. The scudetto, the Italian championship, is mathematically theirs. A second star is embroidered onto the shirt, a detail Italian football fans understand without explanation. At San Siro, grown men weep. But in a glass-walled office in Luxembourg, an accountant is counting days. The Oaktree loan matures in exactly 28 days. Principal plus compounded interest comes to nearly 400 million euros. Zhang does not have the money. Between the scudetto and the deadline, Zhang races to refinance. He speaks to PIMCO, the giant American bond house, to Ares, another Los Angeles credit specialist, to Bain Capital, the Boston private equity firm. He even asked Oaktree itself for an extension. Nobody offers terms that let him keep control. Every proposal either dilutes Suning to nothing or hands the club over in a different shape. 20th May 2024, deadline day, no payment arrives. 2024, Oaktree executes the pledge. Control over Inter Milan passes to the fund. Zhang is out, a new board is installed. Giuseppe Marotta is named president. Javier Zanetti, an icon of Intersimo, stays as a vice president. The 20th scudetto is barely a month old and it's already lifted by a different owner. In 116 years of history handed over on a loan agreement, no vote, no fan consultation, no Italian bidder, just the Los Angeles fund, the Luxembourg SPV, and a covenant. Now zoom out. The Inter story is not unusual. It is the shape of modern private markets. A fund like Oaktree, with roughly $200 billion under management, can deploy 275 million euros against a football club and wait patiently for 3 years to find out whether it gets repaid or gets the keys. That is sophistication, that is scale, and it was, until recently, entirely closed to me and you. For 40 years, the minimum ticket for a top private credit or private equity fund was often 1 million euros or more, sometimes even 10 million euros. You needed to be a pension fund, a sovereign wealth fund, or a very wealthy family. If you were an Inter fan in Trento, a teacher in Toulouse, or a small business owner in Luxembourg, the door was closed. Pension funds, insurers, and ultra-wealthy families have earned roughly 14% per year from private equity over the last 20 years. According to Cambridge Associates, the Boston investment consultant that tracks private markets returns for the world's largest endowments and pension funds. Public equity markets over the same period delivered 8 to 9%. Over 20 years, that is the difference between doubling your money and quadrupling it. Most European savers were on the wrong side of the wall. Then in January 2024, in the very same year Oaktree was counting down the days on the Suning loan, Europe did something quietly remarkable. A regulation called the European Long-Term Investment Fund version 2.0 came into force. The old 10,000 euros minimum was scrapped. Funds can now set their own floors and many start at 1,000, sometimes 100 euros. The 10% portfolio cap for retail investors was replaced by a suitability test. Eligible assets were broadened and, most importantly, funds were allowed to offer quarterly or monthly redemption windows instead of locking capital up for a decade. Every major European house has since then launched a retail vehicle: BlackRock, Amundi, Schroders, Partners Group, or Razeo. The number of ELTIFs has roughly doubled since January 2024. The door is now open. You still cannot buy a slice of Inter Milan. The deal was reserved for Oaktree and its institutional investors. But for the first time, you can invest in the kind of strategies that finance deals like it. Private credit, leverage buyout, infrastructure, the universe where Montclair was transformed, where the Channel Tunnel was rescued, where Amman was refinanced, and where Inter Milan was quietly seized. An open door is not a good decision, though, and this is where we have to be honest. Time for today's jargon buster. Let's decode today's essential term, the J-curve. Private equity funds typically lose money before they make money. Plot a fund's net value against time and you get a shape that looks exactly like the letter J. A dip and then a rise. Here is why. When a fund launches, it charges management fees around 1.5 to 2% per year on committed capital. It spends money on due diligence, legal work, and acquiring its first positions. But value creation takes time. It happens in years 4, 5, 6. And so in the early years, the fund is paying costs without yet realizing gains, its value dips. Then, as companies mature and are refinanced or sold, the curve climbs sharply. Let me put it in Inter's own language. Think of a Series A season. Pre-season is pure cost. Training camps in the Dolomites, friendlies that earn nothing, new signs being paid from day one, and not a single league point on the board. The first 8 matches are tactical experiments. By November, the side starts to settle. By February, a run of form begins. By April, silverware is within reach. A football season is itself a small J-curve, pain first, reward later. Now scale it to a 10 years private equity fund. Same shape, same patience, same reward for the investors who do not panic in August. For a new ELTIF investor, the lesson is simple. Do not panic when your statement in year 1 or 2 shows a small loss. That dip is the J. It is not a failure, it is the geometry of patience. This week's question comes from Marco in Rome, who writes, Carlo, I watched what happened to Inter and I finally understand that private equity exists in my life, whether I like it or not. I have 20,000 euros I can set aside for the long term. Should I put it into an ELTIF? Marco, this is the right question. Thank you for that. And hello to Roma. But I cannot answer it for you. But I can give you the framework, 3 tests before you go near an ELTIF. 1. Can you genuinely lock up this capital for 8 to 10 years without touching it? If you might need it for a house, a child's education, or an emergency, the answer is no. Public market first. 2. Is 20,000 euros a meaningful percentage of your total savings or a small slice? Most private bankers would say illiquid investments should not exceed 10 to 20% of a household's investable wealth. If your 20,000 euros is your entire safety net, do not put it in an ELTIF. 3. Do you understand what you are buying? An ELTIF is a vehicle, not a strategy. It could hold buyouts, venture, infrastructure, credit, or a mix. Read the fund documentation. If you cannot explain to a friend what the fund actually does, you should not own it. If the answer is yes to all 3, an ELTIF may deserve a conversation with your advisor, not a conversation with me, and certainly not a purchase on your phone between 2 metro stops. Today's metric, the lock-up period and the illiquidity premium it pays. A traditional closed-end private equity fund has a lock-up of roughly 10 years. Capital is called over 3 or 4 years, put to work and returned between years 5 and 10. During that time, you cannot sell. A semi-liquid ELTIF, post-ELTIF 2.0, offers quarterly or monthly redemption windows, usually after an initial ramp-up period of 1 to 2 years. Effective lock-up drops to roughly 2 years with ongoing liquidity constraints. Research by Preqin and Cambridge Associates, the 2 reference data providers on private markets, and by Morgan Stanley suggests that the liquidity premium in private equity, the extra return you earn for tolerating the lock-up, is worth roughly 3 to 4% per year compared to listed markets. Remember the Oaktree loan to Zhang. It carried an interest rate of around 12% at a time where European banks were lending corporates at 3 to 4%. That spread, roughly 8%, is the price of private credit. And it is what funds earn for lending where banks will not. And it is why their investors have, for decades, sat on a very different side of the table. When an ELTIF offers easier exit terms, it partially gives up that premium because the fund must hold some liquid assets to meet redemptions. Expect semi-liquid ELTIFs to target net returns of roughly 8 to 11% per year, a touch below the 12 to 14% of a pure closed-ended fund. You trade some return for some flexibility. That is the deal. So here is the insight. On 22nd April 2024, Inter Milan's fans held the scudetto in their hands. Exactly 1 month later, a Los Angeles fund had their club. 2 ceremonies 1 month apart, polar opposites. That is the old private equity in one image. Spectators in the stadium, allocators in the boardroom. The wall has come down, not for Inter itself, because that deal was reserved for institutions. But for the first time in 40 years, the strategies that buy football clubs, bridges, hotels, sandals and streaming apps are open to European retail savers via ELTIFs. The door exists, walking through still requires understanding the J-curve, accepting the lock-ups and sizing the position sensibly. The fans could not save Inter, but for the first time, the fans can sit at the same kind of table. Subscribe, share this with an Interista, why not a Milanista, or any football friend who has ever wondered who really owns their club. And send your questions to the link in the description. Next week, episode 12. On 15th July 1997, Gianni Versace was shot on the steps of his Miami Beach mansion. His sister Donatella held the house together for 17 years. Then Blackstone walked in, and in 4 years, the Medusa doubled in value. Next Tuesday, how private equity actually creates value, told through the most dramatic fashion house in history. Remember, this content is educational only, not investment advice. Always consult qualified professionals. Stay sharp. Ask Carlo.
Ask Carlo. Private Equity Simplified.